0x Jeff says he burned around $150 to $200 in tokens over 2 weeks getting his Hermes setup right. That sounds painful, but it also makes the article worth paying attention to. This is not a vague AI productivity thread. It is a field report from someone actually wiring memory, skills, cron jobs, browser control, and model costs into one working stack. The core claim is simple. Hermes gets more useful when it remembers your context, learns your preferences, and turns repeated workflows into reusable skills. In this video, I am breaking down the 3 Hermes workflows Jeff says mattered most, and I am grounding each one in the article, the official Hermes docs, browser harness, and Hindsight. Before the article gets into the 3 skills, it makes a bigger point about what Hermes actually is. The official Hermes site calls it an open-source AI agent with persistent memory, automated skill creation, and self-hosted multi-platform reach. The docs back that up. Hermes keeps its built-in memory active, can add one external memory provider, and exposes setup commands right from the CLI. That matters because Jeff is not describing a one-off prompt hack. He is describing a stack that can accumulate context over time. The homepage pitch is basically, install Hermes on your own machine or server, connect the channels where you already work, and let the agent keep learning your projects and workflows. So the article is really about operationalizing that official product story into something personally useful. The first useful skill is fetching and analyzing X insights. Jeff follows accounts that post about macro, geopolitics, tech, and AI, then lets Hermes build a morning report. The interesting part is not the summary itself. It is the permission model. He first let Hermes use Bird CLI with browser cookies, which gave the agent both read and write power on X. According to the article, Hermes hallucinated and posted junk like test messages and random numbers on his timeline. That is exactly the kind of failure that sounds funny until it happens to your real account. So Jeff deleted Bird and switched to the official X API instead. He says he now pays about 50 cents a day for API credits, but the trade-off is worth it because the permission boundaries are much clearer. In other words, capability matters, but permission safety matters more. The second workflow is bookmark triage, and this is where the article gets a lot more practical. Jeff bookmarks 10 to 20 posts a day, then lets Hermes rank the most important ones based on his interests, investments, and current priorities. The blocker was X articles. He says X API v2 would only return the short t.co links instead of the real article body. His fix was Browser Harness, which had just launched the day before. The official Browser Harness repo describes itself as a self-healing browser harness built directly on CDP, with the agent editing missing helpers on the fly. Jeff uses it very specifically. X API fetches the bookmark list and linked URLs. Browser Harness opens each article page in Chrome and extracts the full text. Then the LLM summarizes the article, and Hermes stores the output in a daily report and wiki. That is the whole pipeline, straight from the article. The third skill is reflection, and this is the most important one if you care about long-term usefulness instead of quick demos. Jeff says Hermes can synthesize past information, preferences, relationships, patterns, and then turn that into actionable analysis. But he also says you need an external memory provider if you want this to work well at scale. His choice is Hindsight. The Hindsight team published a Hermes integration post that explains exactly how this works. Before each turn, Hindsight prefetches relevant memories and injects them into the system prompt. After each response, it retains the conversation asynchronously so the next turn can recall new facts, entities, and relationships. The official Hermes docs line up with that model. Hermes ships with multiple memory providers, keeps built-in memory active, and lets you configure the external provider through the CLI. Jeff says the result is a top 5 daily insights view that pulls signals together and explains why they matter specifically for him, not for some generic user. The article also has a nice pile of second-order lessons that are easy to miss if you only focus on the 3 headline skills. Jeff calls out last 30-day skill as a great way to pull the last month of activity across X, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, and more without needing every platform API from day one. He says CoinGecko and Defilama are still the bread and butter for market data, and that Hermes' built-in delegate task feature helps with longer-running jobs. But the warnings are even more useful. He says connecting Hindsight through OpenRouter to an expensive Claude model burned more than $50 in a single day. He says Bird should be read only if you insist on using it. He says Browser Harness should run in an isolated browser without sensitive credentials. This is not anti-agent advice. It is the grown-up version of agent advice. Pick the sharp tools, then put guards around them before you scale them. So, what do these 3 skills add up to? Not a magic autonomous analyst. A disciplined information workflow. Hermes handles collection, ranking, recall, and synthesis. Browser Harness covers the places where an API falls short. Hindsight turns scattered conversations into retrievable context. And the user still defines the boundaries, the accounts, the budgets, and the models that make the setup sustainable. Jeff says the real goal is not to drown in content. It is to consume insights faster so he can spend more time on higher value work, like talking to founders instead of doom scrolling the feed. That is why the article feels grounded. It admits the failures, the token burn, the debugging pain, and the security risks. But it still lands on a clear conclusion. If memory, permissions, and cost control are handled properly, Hermes stops being a one-shot chatbot and starts looking a lot more like a personal operating layer. My takeaway is pretty close to Jeff's. The most useful Hermes skills are not the flashiest ones. They are the ones that reduce repeated reading, preserve context, and keep the agent inside safe boundaries. If you want to copy this stack, start with the article, then read the official Hermes docs, the Browser Harness repo, and the Hindsight integration post. That gives you the real workflow, the real guardrails, and the real trade-offs. Source links are in the description.